What's up YouTube, this is GalacticGod, and I'm coming at you now with another challenge video. Today we're going to be talking about Saga of the Blue Eyes White Dragon structure deck. So the challenge I have for you is something along the lines of, if you were to go to a big event, and like a YCS or regional or something of that nature, and you got there and you realized that you either forgot your deck at home and you didn't have anything else, just had like your mat and calculator and stuff like that, or maybe you got to the event and your deck got stolen or misplaced or damaged or something like that, and you couldn't use it for whatever the reason, and all you had was, let's say, $50 or something, $20 to pay for the event, and then $30 to get a deck. Could you actually build a deck out of just 3 copies of the structure deck? So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go ahead and build a deck using just the cards that are available to me out of 3 packs of a structure deck. So if I was to go to like a YCS or regional and I couldn't bring my main deck, or I forgot it, or it got stolen or something like that, this is the kind of deck that I would come up with if all I had at my disposal was 3 structure decks. So I'm going to go ahead and open one of these up and then quickly run through the cards that are at our disposal here. Alright, so let me get this. Now I can use 3 copies of any of these cards, or, you know, unless it's limited or banned as the case may be. Let's quickly go through everything. So of course we got our Blue Eyes, and then our 1 extra deck card, or I guess it'll be 3 extra deck cards because you get 3 of them in there. Alright, so I'm not gonna go over the names of everything. I'll kind of go over my choices and why I picked them in the deck here at the end of the video. But also what I want to do is challenge you to come up with your own version of a deck using just these cards. Just the cards that are in this structure deck. I want to see what everyone else can come up with as opposed to mine. If you think that the build that I come up with is garbage and you can do better, show me the better build that you can do in a video response. You can either use the real cards like me, or just look up all the cards up on DevPro or DN or something like that and make a video response that way. Anyhow, those are all the cards that are at our disposal. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the rest of these structure decks and then build what I hope to be will be a pretty decent deck. Alright, let's see how it comes out. Alright, I've busted open all of the decks and I've constructed what I believe would be the deck that I would take to a YCS or regional event if all I had at my disposal to build a deck was those 3 structure decks. So I'm going to quickly run through everything, kind of explain some of my card choices and why, and then I'm going to pose the challenge to you guys. Alright, so here we go. We're going to start off. I'm going to play 3 of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, because I figure, you know what, if I want to play a Blue Eyes deck, I'm going to go for broke here. I'm going to play 3 copies of the White Stone Legend, because, you know, that's what you do when you play Blue Eyes, I guess. And then 3 of the Maiden with Eyes of Blue. Kind of the awesome new card. From there, I'm going to play 3 copies of Alexandrite Dragon. 3 copies of Shining Angel. I figure this will help me put up a defense as well as get out my, you know, maidens and stuff quicker. I'm going to play 2 copies of the Divine Dragon. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to play 1 of the Darkstorm Dragon, and then 1 Honest. And that's going to round up my monster count. I'll kind of explain a little bit of this more towards the end of the video. I'm going to play 3 copies of Trade-In, 3 copies of Silver Scry, 2 copies of Enemy Controller, 2 copies of Dragon Shine, 2 copies of Card of Consonance, and then 2 copies of Stampede Destruction for our back row hate, such as it is. I'm going to play 3 copies of Fiendish Chain, because, you know, I'm going to get in there with those chains. 2 copies of Call of the Haunted, so lots of monster recursion in this deck. Or 1 Compulse, unfortunately. 1 of the Castle of Dragon Souls. This is actually kind of a pretty cool card. And yeah, you can target your maiden and stuff. And then 1 of Champion's Vigilance, which is definitely an awesome card if you're able to get it to work. And then for our extra deck, of course, we got our Azuz Eyes Silver Dragon. Our 3 copies of it. Okay, so I'm going to quickly kind of go over some of the plays I would do in this deck. Okay, so ideally you would get maybe one of these dragon shrines in your opening hand, at least, you know, hopefully, or somewhere early in the duel. This is pretty cool. This is kind of like an extreme foolish burial for dragons. You can send one dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then if that monster in your graveyard is a dragon type normal monster, you can send one more dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. So this is pretty awesome because it's kind of like foolishing two cards out of your deck. I would always foolish probably something like Alexandrite Dragon first, and then either foolish a Whitestone or a Darkstorm Dragon. Whitestone is pretty obvious, that way you can get your blue eyes to your hand, and then you can play cards like Trade-In and whatnot. But I think Darkstorm is really good too, because then it makes certain cards very live, meaning stuff like Silver's Cry, which will work with it because it's a normal monster in the graveyard, or maybe even one of our two Call the Haunteds, because once he gets out on the field, your champion's vigilance becomes live, and that's kind of like a complete negation, like your solemn judgment, if you will, of the deck. And you always want to kind of have this live because we don't have, you know, a lot of stuff to work with in the deck, and I think this is a pretty cool, neat card. Now sometimes stuff like the Card of Consonance or the Trade-Ins might seem kind of dead, especially Trade-Ins since we're only playing a very limited amount of Dragon Tuner monsters that we can actually discard to draw with. We're going to try and alleviate this somewhat with the Divine Dragon here. Basically you can ditch a card from your hand to add one Dragon monster from your graveyard back to your hand, which is pretty cool. That means you can, you know, ditch a Whitestone to grab a Blue Eyes back to your hand, search out another Blue Eyes, making your trade-ins very live. Also, you know, maybe you have a Blue Eyes in your hand, or you know, something else that isn't working for you. You can ditch it to bring back your Whitestone, and then play your Card of Consonance with your Whitestone, draw a couple cards, you know, grab a Blue Eyes as well, and maybe you got into your trade-in, you know, keep going from there. I think it's kind of a cool card. You know, it's a really good card for what we have to work with. I think it can actually be a pretty decent tech card for a lot of different dragon decks out there. One of the reasons why I'm playing the 3 Alexandrites is because 2,000 is still a pretty hefty, decent beating amount. Plus, it makes our 3 copies of the Silver's Cry live with them, so you can always bring them back if you don't have a Blue Eyes or something in your graveyard that you can get of that nature. They make an awesome first turn target to ditch with Dragon Shrine, so you can, you know, make these cards, you know, very feasible very fast. Also, they're all light, so they're, you know, can be used in conjunction with Honest as well. I think that's kind of pretty cool too. Alright YouTube, and there you have it. This was the dragon deck that I would construct if all I had at my disposal was the 3 Saga the Blue Eyes Dragon structure decks to build from. In the comment section below, make sure you let me know what you think of the build I've come up with. And also, I encourage you to accept my challenge and make your own build using just the cards from the Saga the Blue Eyes structure deck, and post it as a video response to this video. And I guess that's going to do it for now. This is GalacticGod. Out.